Welcome to the Fold Mysteries, where we seek to discover everything that lies between the folds of reality. So we're back from a 1 week hiatus, thanks to. Oh man, I see. I'm not even ready. Where are you at? Thanks to my conference. It's a little delayed on the drum roll, but here's the point. So we were away for a week because of the Fold Mysteries Iron Michigan Bigfoot Conference, and it went really well. So don't scan the code, and don't look at this because this is from just this past weekend. So it's been and it's happened, and it was good. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So I just want to say we had some amazing speakers and volunteers. I would not have been able to do this without the help of not just my speakers, but especially my volunteers, which some of my speakers actually jumped in and became volunteers. So it was absolutely awesome. So a special thank you to Dana Joe, who was a volunteer, aka speaker. Jeannie Mays, volunteer and speaker. We had Denise, Todd, Christine, and then brain broke Bob Limley. He was also a speaker and a volunteer. And then we also had Jay Bachochin there, who was a speaker, and then Robin Haynes, who was a speaker. So all of those people came together. We made it happen, and the guests are what made it so great. So thank you to everybody who came. And thank you to everybody who volunteered and my speakers. It was an awesome event. It's going to be even bigger next year. I wasn't expecting it to get the attention it got this year, but it got an amazing amount of attention. And next year we plan on it being even bigger. We're actually planning on taking over 2 buildings next year. So, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome! Congratulations on such a success in the event.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You're right. Having the volunteers and everybody step up and step in, because it's a lot on one person's shoulders just organizing all of that stuff. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. Oh, and I also want to
So proud of you.
Thank you so much, Abe, and thank you also to Chad Datama, who is also a member of the Flow Mysteries. He was able to be there, and he was nearly like 90%. So I expected him to just kind of hang out, but he was all in. So that was really cool. So thank you to him as well. Yeah, it was awesome. You're tripping me out. Your audio is so
that's
delayed.
awesome. That's great news. Glad he's Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's crazy. You like talk, and 5 minutes later, your voice comes through.
It's always something, ain't it?
Yeah. Actually, I think it's.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. There we go. So, yeah. Speaking of conferences, can you hear me? Okay. Abe, always with the audio problems. It's okay.
Oh my gosh. What is going on here?
I think you caught up.
I'm a hot mess right now.
You are good. I see your lips moving at the same time the audio is coming out.
I'm trying to. This is crazy. I got to disconnect from Bluetooth or something.
Oh, that's weird. That's interesting how it was doing that.
So yeah, they were paired.
So speaking of conferences, the next famous person's conference that I know who's coming up is yours. So tell me about how's yours coming along? Maybe we'll save that for another time. I feel so bad. No. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's totally okay. You know what? Most men look better than they sound anyways. I just have to throw that in there because it's payback from earlier. I can hear you a little bit. I don't know if you're connected to something else or what, but your audio is not coming through. Okay. All right. Well, if you want, we can do a post recap. Do a post recap. Let's talk about your conference at the end, and we'll just invite our guests in. Sound good to you? Okay, sounds great because then he's froze. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to Jeffery Thomas. Thank you so much for coming, aka the Shadow. So, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, good. I was waiting for you to. I was getting a little worried that maybe it was on my end.
You're just
There we
going to
go.
do a whole hour by yourself and stare at you through the camera.
Oh God! You know what? You can't do it to me because what was it? A couple weekends ago, we had another guest on, and he couldn't hear me. Everybody else could hear me. People online could hear me. Abe could hear me, and he was the only one that couldn't hear me. So I had to speak my questions through Abe, who would then reference it to him to be able to answer my questions.
You had a translator. You had a podcast translator through Abe.
It was awful. It was awful, but it was hilarious. It was so funny. So just a quick introduction for you. So Jeffrey has never been a stranger to the woods or its inhabitants. His fascination with Sasquatch began in the 1970s, which coincided with his lifelong passion with television, radio, and film. Residing for the past 30 years in his birthplace of Augusta, Georgia, Jeff began his active research in the field of cryptozoology in 2009. Choosing infamy over celebrity, he is best known in the Bigfoot community for his biting sense of humor, brutal honesty, judicious discretion, and utter fearlessness. When things go bump in the night, utter fearlessness when things go bump in the night. His adventures include an appearance on National Geographic International and Destination America channels, being an invited guest and guide on multiple BFRO expeditions, a consultant to several nationwide groups, a trip into the Patterson-Gimlin film site at Bluff Creek on the 50th anniversary of the film, a frequent speaker and master of ceremonies at several well-known Bigfoot festivals and conferences, and a daylight Bigfoot sighting in February of 2012. You had a Bigfoot daylight sighting. You got to excuse me. It's been a long day. And a daylight Bigfoot sighting in February of 2012. Jeff is the co-founder of Central Savannah River Area Cooperative Sasquatch Research Association. So that's Bigfoot in the CSRA. An avid visual creator, Jeff is rarely seen without a camera and has become a social media sensation for his nostalgic generational observations. So those were very long words. Typically, bios don't have those big words. So it threw me off a little bit.
I wrote that. Yeah.
I was going to say, I could tell you're the one that wrote that. It was great.
I did not,
and I'm sorry I murdered
not default to Chat GPT. No, don't worry about that. You're great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You can tell I wrote it. I did not default to AI. So. Oh, now you've frozen. I love StreamYard. Am I still here? Hey, chat. Am I still here? Because Abe's gone and Gwendolyn is frozen. I'm just going to take over. Welcome to the Fold Mysteries, where we talk about the unexplained throughout the United States. And if you can hear this, you might be laughing right now. If you're not, I'm just sitting here talking to myself. Okay, I've actually got my YouTube up, and I can see that I'm yeah, I can see that y'all can see me, but you can't see anybody else. So I'm taking over the Fold Mysteries right now. Gwendolyn is gone. Abe is gone. And I'm just a guest in the studio. How in the world this is still up, I'll never know. So, as you all heard through my bio entry. I did have a daylight sighting in February of 2012, and absolutely nothing has happened in the field of Bigfoot since then. I've done a lot of stuff as far as conferences, festivals, networking with friends, working with the NABC, working with Bigfoot and Beyond, hosting conferences myself, actually speaking at conferences myself. And if we ever get Gwen and Abe back online, maybe we'll talk about my sighting. Maybe we'll talk about other things. What do you guys want to talk about? One thing I was thinking of, especially with Gwen's like little video intro there, the AI intro, being chased by aliens. I was thinking about that in 2017 when the government pretty much admitted UAPs have visited planet Earth and extraterrestrials are real and no one cared. Why in the world couldn't they have done that with Bigfoot? Did I pick the wrong field? Did I absolutely fall in love with the wrong hobby, being Bigfoot? Because the government's coming out saying that aliens and UAPs are real, and they're showing all this evidence and supposedly releasing all this long-standing evidence. Not a word on Bigfoot. Come on. Give us some of the Bigfoot. Show us the body. Actually, that's unfair. I'm a no-kill researcher. I will not aid or help anyone who is out to try and take a body for scientific research. I don't think it's necessary. There are plenty of species out there. There's brand new species of orca discovered 5 years ago, and they don't have a body on a slab. They just were able to identify it using photographic evidence. So with all that we have as far as evidence is concerned, I don't think it's necessary to take a body. And if it was capable of getting a body, one would have been gotten by now. There were so many much better marksmen in the past who are so gifted with firearms because that's the way they ate. That's exactly how they ate dinner. And if you missed, you starved. And to have come across one of these things way back then and shot at it and not been able to hit it, whereas nowadays you've got all this technological equipment that goes with it, and it takes forever just to take one shot. I know hunters that are out in the woods all season. Down here, we're crawling with deer down here. Never get a deer. How is that? How is that possible? Well, it's because they couldn't get the clean shot. So who's to say that if you see a Bigfoot in the woods, you're going to automatically know to go to your sidearm or rifle, have it ready to go. Looks like Gwen's coming back. Maybe I hear her.
I'm here. I'm sorry. So I just got notification of an internet outage, and I have a backup internet, and it is also not working. So I'm here via phone for right now.
Another message that said they're going to send another message. We told you there was an internet outage. Don't go to your backup.
Yeah. Yeah, they send it after there's an internet outage and then tell me after it's back up that it's back up. So like there's usually a delay, but this time it's pretty quick. So for the meantime, I am here off camera, but I'm still here. So what is your feeling on ghosts? Because I have a little story for you.
Oh, really? It's not my area of expertise, but I have no problem with, especially with like the parallel universe and infinite number of parallel universes somehow overlapping. I have no problem with like time-lapse memories. What I think ghostly apparitions are just hiccups in the space-time continuum where they're stuck in an eternal loop, kind of like Doctor Strange at the end of the original Doctor Strange, where he's just stuck in this eternal loop of living this same life. I have no problem with ghosts. Absolutely believe in them. There's so many paranormal things that have happened. I'm here in a town in Georgia that was not burned during the Civil War. Sherman had a girlfriend here, and he went around us. We had an armory here, and he didn't burn it down. He went straight to Savannah. So we have a lot of homes here in our Somerville area in Augusta, Georgia, that are 1700s, 1800s homes. Everyone, I was just on a street today called Glen Avenue. Everyone there has a ghost story, a legitimate ghost story, and all the neighbors share, what happened last night, chains through the hallway, footsteps, doors slamming, things like that. Love ghosts. So tell me your story. I'm excited to hear it.
I need to remove one of these.
And we've lost you again.
Can you hear me?
There you are. I can hear you, but we got an echo.
Oh, that's bad.
Did you turn into a ghost?
Okay, so no. But okay, so I've had weird electronic problems ever since we came back from our trip. So we ended up staying, all of my guests and speakers, all of my volunteers and speakers, I put us all up in one. It's like an antique lodge. It's almost like a cabin. And it was haunted. And so we did like a ghost investigation. But the first night there, I woke up and I felt really bad. And I just attributed it to the trip. Long trip, 7.5 hours, sit in the car, wake up early the next morning, go. I just attribute it to the trip, but I just knew, like, I felt like I'd gotten hit with a bus or something. Well, we did a ghost investigation our last night there, just a really quick one. And we had some really kind of cool stuff coming through on the ITC devices periodically. It was like an Ovilus device, not an ITC device. And then I come home and like I'm having all these problems with the electronics in my vehicle. Now my internet's going in and out. And my secondary internet's not working. But the most odd thing was my daughter, I walked out of the door for work the next day. And she goes, "What's that on the back of your leg?" I was wearing shorts. And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "It looks like somebody bit you." I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, there's a bite mark on the back of your leg." And I was like, "You're kidding." And sure enough, there was a bite mark on the back of my leg. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. That is really strange. So I came home with weird electronic problems and a bite mark on my leg. So I thought that was
That's like the scene in That's like the scene in Poltergeist where the guy goes upstairs and gets bitten by the ghost.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm trying to get it uploaded here because I wasn't going to show this, but now that we were talking about it, I want to show it. Let me see if I can upload it. Let me see. Because it is really interesting.
Third time's a charm, Abe.
Yeah, right? There we go. Abe.
Crazy.
Abe, did you hear the story I was just telling him about?
I heard nothing. I know nothing.
So we stayed in a haunted cabin, and when I came back, I had a bite mark on me, but I felt like really bad.
Who was we? No.
We, as in my speakers and my guests. Here, here it is, right here.
Oh,
that's
wow.
the bite mark. Yeah, I mean, you can see all the teeth and everything.
That don't look like teeth.
It don't look like teeth to you?
No, because teeth. I mean, you would have your flat ones. You have your two ones in the front that are going to be flat, and then your eye teeth that are kind of sharp are like fangs, basically. And then they move because those are your cutters and your slicers, and then you have your grinders behind those.
Okay, but when you imagine a bite, especially a paranormal bite, the most bruising would be at the front, right? So you're going to get distortion based on how the bruise is spread. This bruise is like 3 days old. I think it was from my first night there. But to me, it looks like a bite mark.
Okay.
It was weird. It was weird. What do you think?
I've seen Jay Pachochin smile, so that looks like his upper row. You may want to have a talk with him.
There it is. That's it. It was nothing to do paranormal. It was all scientifically explained.
That's awful. That's awful. But okay, back to what I was saying before I got weirdly disconnected.
Change the subject.
Jay, you snuck in there. He's like, that looks like a chicken leg.
With me and Abe, this could go south real quick.
Real fast.
No, I gotta keep you guys moving along. I was saying that I know you do a lot of Bigfoot research and you get into a lot of Bigfoot stuff, but I follow you a lot on Facebook because your shorts and stuff that you do are hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Thank
The
you so much.
generational recognition shorts that you do. So you have this really funny sort of comedy short series where you go into like millennials and generational appreciation and the oddities of it. So I always thought that was really cool. So what made you start doing that
Yeah.
aside from the Bigfoot stuff? What made you decide to start doing those shorts?
I always, just like with falling into the Bigfoot stuff, I always tell people it's just like stepping in dog poop. You have no idea when it happened or how it happened. You just look on your shoe and you smell it, and suddenly you're like, "Oh man, I stepped in dog poop." It's the same thing. It was literally. I walked away from my career about 5 years ago, and that's a whole long story. It was a good decision, not a bad decision. And I set up my studio here that I'm in now at the home, and I had a couple of gigs coming up. There was a couple of gigs where I was going to put some video together, and admittedly, it had been a couple of years since I had done any type of video. So just like riding a bike, I wanted to throw a couple of videos out there to kind of, get my feet wet in it again and see how it went and see if the editing stuff went well. And I started doing like dating advice from an old man perspective or a Gen X perspective, and they got a few views and everything. And then finally I saw my friend John Catrides and a couple other people doing Gen X style videos, and they were getting a lot of really good hits. And it just got me to thinking. The first video that I did about it, I did how Gen X, why Gen X is so perpetually upset is because we had to go from LPs to 8 tracks to cassettes to CDs to Air TV to cable to and that video went absolutely viral. It hit over 1 million like in 2 or 3 days. It was the first thing I ever did. And of course then Facebook starts sending you all kind of notifications. Make sure you go professional. Would you like to monetize? And I was like, well, okay. Yeah. Click yeah. And 5 years later, here we are still, and I've got a huge following on Facebook. Not as many as I would love on YouTube, but even though I have enough finally on YouTube, they changed the rules again, can't monetize. So I'm on YouTube for the love of it. But Facebook is right now paying the bills and just making a few videos of observational things. There is a well of ideas from our generation. I mean, even someone as young and lovely as you, Gwendolyn, could still, you have a wealth of information from birth to where you are now. Whereas old men like me and Abe, of course, we have even more. There's seemingly nothing to, we'll be able to stop talking about. And it's just, I put my slant on things, and I want to make sure I'm not copying anybody else. So I'm putting my specific personal type slant on it. And here we are today. It's.
I knew I liked you, Jeffrey. So I think I'm the same age as you and Abe. So I'm pretty sure I am. But thank you. I like that.
There's a lot more white hair on this screen than there is on anybody else's screen. So I'm gonna have to take issue with that.
He's okay. I'm just gonna shut up.
You're gonna start spitting ages. You behave yourself.
We are now at the same age. Actually.
Behave, Abe.
Mentally, maybe.
Abe's really excited for his 30th birthday.
You know what? I'm really excited for my 26th, so I'm right there with you. Oh gosh,
I've got 2 weeks, and I'll be celebrating like the 29th anniversary of my 29th birthday. So,
wow! Oh my god, I'm just gonna do the math. That's so cool.
I'm horrible at math. I may have just messed that all up. So.
I think you gave yourself a lot of time on there, a lot of extra years on there. I think. I know it's funny because Facebook, back when you used to just be able to change your birthday really easily, every year I changed my birthday back 1 year, so I was 26 for like 8 years, and then when I went to change it to my real birthday, I had to go through this big process and show my ID and everything. It was like, I just want to tell you my real age
wouldn't
now.
let you.
I'm tired. Yeah, I'm tired of lying.
You're a liar. You're a liar.
Yeah, 1 year it just
We
didn't
know
let me
you
do
were
it no
born in
more.
1996.
I think I made it to like 1991 before I tried to change it back to the original. Yeah. But so
I have for about
go ahead. What were you gonna say?
no, I was going to say I have for about 15 years now. On April 1st, thanked everybody online for all the birthday wishes, and 15 years later, nobody gets it.
Don't get it.
I get
What do you mean?
hundreds and hundreds of messages and comments. Happy birthday, because my birthday is September 2nd, not April 1st.
Oh my gosh. So you have your birthday set as April 1st on
So
Facebook.
I just thank everybody on April 1st for all the birthday wishes, and 15 years later,
Oh my God.
people still fall for it.
That's funny. So my best friend's birthday is on April 1st, and I struggle every year with what Facebook post I'm going to put as an April Fool's joke or telling her happy birthday. Yeah. So you don't have your birthday set on Facebook as April 1st. You just thank everybody, and then you get like
No.
20,000 comments saying happy birthday.
No, and I can't even change my profile pic on Facebook now because I'm verified. And once you get verified, it's like Cliff Barrickman's Facebook profile. He's got blonde hair and a brown beard. And if you've seen Cliff anytime lately, I mean, he is pure Santa Claus.
Yeah.
You can never change your profile pic once you verify, or you have to re-verify again, which is, the date of birth, the driver's license, all that. So if I want to just change my profile pic, I have to go through this 2-week process.
Wow.
Wow.
That sucks. That
There's
sucks.
the first one.
Oh, are we going to do the wow counts? Wow.
Wow.
Yes. I'm bringing back Blog Talk, buddy.
Oh my gosh. So
I am bringing back the Blog Talk, buddy.
on MNVRT radio years ago, we would have amazing guests, much like this show, and they were just mind-blowing guests. And wow, how many times could I say wow, because I'm just so blown away and everything like that. So they started doing the wow count basically, and that's it just gave me a flashback. That's very cool.
Wow.
I would start with the comments, and everybody was like, "What's the over/under on the wow count tonight?"
Yeah. Holy smokes!
Say the wow count is 14 tonight, depending on the guest. They'd be like, "Oh, the wow count's only a 3 tonight. It's not a very good guess."
I love this guy. I miss you. So I can't wait to see you in October. And as a matter,
we're just looking into that.
Yeah. We were talking. You brought up something where I could barely hear you before I had to re-sign him and do all that stuff about the conference. Jeffrey and his lovely wife Tanya are sponsoring Renee. So thanks to these guys, we're able to have Renee come out here and do what she's doing. It's a proud sponsor of the CSRA and the CSRA. And thank you for that, bro.
Oh, no worries. I mean, any chance we get to hang out with Renee, she's become a really good friend lately, which is unexpected. The skeptic off of Finding Bigfoot, and we end up like meeting, I think, at CryptidCon, and just hit it off immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the same CryptidCon we met at, Gwendolyn. So I literally just hit it off instantly, and
cool.
We talked to each other constantly. And when I saw, she was going to be the guest, I texted the wife immediately. I was like, "Hey, Renee's going to Minnesota. You want to sponsor it?" She's like, "Absolutely." And it'll give us a reason to get out of the South, because it'll probably still be 100 degrees here, and it might be like in the 50s there. I'm very excited about that.
Gonna be a little cooler than
but
your
yeah,
average.
any chance to like hang out with friends too.
Yeah,
a little cooler than what we're used to down here.
Yep, absolutely. And and that's just the thing. I mean, I'm promoting this event and everything like that, and people are like, "Oh, doesn't she don't believe in Bigfoot? Why would I want to come see her?" This, that, and the other thing. I said, hold on, you guys. She got hired to play the skeptic. Her job never had anything to do with her real beliefs of it. Her dad. She got into the whole Bigfoot a lot of it because of her dad when before he passed and stuff like that. If you actually talked with Renee, her dad was into Bigfoot for a long, long time. and then she got hired to play the scientist, the skeptical scientist is what her name is. But in all reality, she's had her own experiences. Oh my gosh, in the woods as well too. That hopefully she'll be touching upon at the NBC this year. So it's not that she doesn't believe.
Yeah,
She's had some things happen to her.
What I love about Renee the most. Yeah, what I love about Renee the most, especially when she speaks at any events, or I think one time we went up to do a Finding Bigfoot episode in Tennessee, and she ended up talking to my niece and nephew because she gravitates right to kids, loves talking science with them and everything. But the one thing that she even taught them, they were maybe 10, 11 years old, and what she talks about in her speech is if you're going to do Bigfoot research, is doing it from a scientific perspective. Not every acorn that drops in the woods is Bigfoot throwing a rock at you. Right. It has to be verifiable. It has to have evidence. It's got to have all this stuff. And she really fosters that with her speech, is being the citizen scientist and making sure you're dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's.
Yep, absolutely. 100%.
Or a scientist like her will not take what you say legitimately.
Yeah. I was going to say, I really appreciate when people they have an open mind, but they also want to approach things with that skeptical mind, willing to cross everything else out first that it could potentially be before they say what it possibly could be. So I appreciate that type of investigative style. So I'm curious, what's your investigative style when you go out into the field? Kind of how do you approach the research? Do you come back to the same areas? What kind of methods do you take when you're out there? Kind of curious.
Well, when I got started in the whole Bigfoot thing, it was more of being self-satisfactory a little bit. I needed to know personally, is Bigfoot real? Because when I got into it in about 2009, I was reading all these reports, I was seeing all this evidence, and after a while, and Abe can attest to this, after a while when you're reading a report or you're talking to a witness or you see a witness testimony, you kind of are able to filter out what's BS and what's not. But you're also able to filter out some similarities between them that not every layman might be able to pick up on. And so by the time I started hitting the field, it was more about, I want to have that 100% sighting to prove to myself, it was never my goal to prove it to the world. So I don't go in the woods with a DNA kit. I don't go in the woods with a plaster set. And I'm not knocking that. If you're a DNA researcher, take it out in the woods. We need more of you. If you're the person like Abe and I's mutual friend Melissa Hovey, if you're all about the track prints, then make sure you've got your dental or your plaster of Paris or whatever it is that works best with you. Cliff is big on that. Cliff Barrickman's huge on cast everything that you find. But that wasn't who I was. That wasn't who I wanted to be, because as you know, trying to prove it to the world is an absolute impossibility, because even with the best evidence nowadays, with AI, with people's ability to edit, I know all about video editing, it's easy to fake stuff like that. And even if you were to go out and find the perfect evidence on film or on video, there's still going to be people that say that it's fake. Oh, there's nothing to it. So the only thing that I really took into the woods with me was a camera, because if I was going to prove it to anybody or anybody had questions about it, I wanted to have some type of video evidence of what I saw or what happened. And way back when, I invested in a good portable pocket camera that was 100% in my pocket when I had a daylight sighting of a Sasquatch, and never even made it out until the thing disappeared. And when the thing disappeared, we could still hear it walking through the woods. We could still hear it pacing back and forth. We couldn't see it, but we could hear it pacing back and forth. Pulled the camera out, and it didn't work.
Oh.
And it's a camera that I could probably grab right now. It's an old Sony Bloggy Touch, and I could probably grab it right now, and it will turn on, even though I haven't touched it in years. And it came off the charge that morning, because it has a self battery that you charge yourself. You don't replace the batteries. And it had come off the charge that morning, had a full charge, and did not turn on until we got home
Interesting.
from the entire trip. Yeah.
So,
and I've never been the one that wants to add paranormality to any type of the Bigfoot stuff, but I can't help the paranormal stuff that actually happens with witnesses present.
right. Yeah.
So
It makes me wonder, like, what are your thoughts on that? Because some people say it's EMF. Some people say it's infrasound. Some people say that, you know, they're paranormal attributes, so they're just able to manipulate your electronics. Well, do you have any possible explanations for that?
just hypothesis on it, because I've had so many witness accounts. I've had researchers who I know and trust who have told me things that have happened in the woods where we know it is possible that a Bigfoot could exist and thrive, have paranormal things like horizontal lights opening up and having things walk through them, having the glowing orbs go through. That's not ball lightning. It's just glowing orbs going through the woods and things like that. If this entity, and I don't want to say that it's absolutely possible that that's the way they are. I never want to use, well, they're interdimensional, they're paranormal, they're all this, because there is no proof of it. So I can't say 100% that they are. But if they are, then absolutely they have the ability to, if you can transfer through dimensions or universes somehow, then you have enough energy to make a camera shut off, to make a radio shut off, to make a frequency shut off somehow. Can I explain it? No. And is it my belief system? I don't want it to be, but the more you're out in the woods, and Abe can tell you this too, the more you're out in the woods, the more answers you get to the questions you have, the more questions pop up.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
You know, and you touched on a really good subject when it comes down to frequency. Yes, different frequencies can shut down technology, and how it's being admitted or dispersed or something like that is the question at hand. how is it being produced? Where these frequencies, and I say frequencies because, you know, Skinwalker Ranch out there, and they got these scientists, and they're doing these different frequencies and things like that, and they're seeing that these frequencies keep on popping up where things are shutting down or things are happening, you know, with technology and stuff. So it makes one think, like, okay, what the heck is really kind of going on there? What frequency is being used? And I forget the frequency. It's some kind of a megahertz or hertz or something like that, where they're detecting where it can affect equipment, basically. But yeah, something like that.
The other thing that I was thinking of.
Go ahead, bro.
No, the thing that I was thinking of too is like dolphins have subsonic frequencies that they send out that it can actually stun fish, and we don't have those capabilities. The electric eel basically vibrates its muscles so much that it creates an electric surge that can actually knock a man out and kill people just through muscle movement. So if this species is somehow able to manipulate that, I'm not saying it's telepathy. I'm saying that it's some type of physical anomaly that they can do that would be able to knock out any type of electrical field around them.
You know,
it's not something that is always been around. There's not been radios and cameras around forever, but if Sasquatches exist in the United States, they have existed here as long as people have existed here, and electronics are the last 100 years thing. So the ability to shut that down is something extremely new, even for that species.
You know, and a couple of weeks back, as Gwendolyn mentioned, we had Todd Neese on the show. Really interesting stuff. And his research is that he's diving into is the infrasound and the effects that it can produce on different things. And in Googling some infrasound, like primates, what primates have infrasound, come to find out that gorillas actually can produce a very low infrasound, rumbling at about 30 hertz, and also can a low infrasound when they're beating their chest as well. What it can do to equipment, I couldn't tell you, but I think with that,
is a good tip of the iceberg to say, because I believe we are dealing with a primate. It has fingerprints, it has mammary glands, it has hair, and it breathes oxygen and gives birth to live young. That fits everything for being a mammal, but a primate mammal. And only primates, as we know, have the fingerprints, and the dermal ridging. Koala bears, they got very similar stuff, but I don't think it's exactly what we're looking for when we classify this species as being a primate. But this species, whatever it is, does fit that bill. Now, I think it's a great starting point that Todd has looked into. And even for myself, Googling what primates, or great apes, I should say, can produce infrasound, and gorillas are on that list. So it makes me wonder, can they raise it? Do we need an EMF or something like that, a meter, to distinguish if there is any kind of an EMF field associated with infrasound that can create a certain hertz that knocks off technology? I don't know.
Right, and the coincidence of a lot of ghost researchers, which we've had out on quite a few expeditions as well, bringing their equipment out into Bigfoot realms, because believe it or not, like really old cemeteries are great for Sasquatch territory because they're usually in the exact same environments. You find an old Civil War cemetery, or you find a Revolutionary War cemetery that's not in like a national park, it's just out in the middle of the woods somewhere. Those are the same woods that are going to hold Sasquatch. And so ghost people come out and they're doing their little EMF and frequency type things that I don't understand at all. And yet can they say definitively it was a ghost that did that, or was it a Sasquatch that did that, or was it both? Or so
yeah,
it's a great whenever you have an opportunity to go out in the woods Bigfooting with someone from another discipline like UFOs or like ghosts, always tag them along and have them bring their equipment, because you'd be amazed at how much they mesh, at how much everybody together kind of meshes. And then you can share funny stories about how the politics in the community are very similar between all of them.
That's
all
true.
the stuff that you hate about the Bigfoot community, it's going on at the UFO community. It's going on with the ghost people too.
Yeah. No.
So true. So true. I love that, because it used to be just this clear divide between paranormal, Bigfoot, aliens, other cryptids. There was always this clear divide. People who researched Bigfoot thought the people who researched Mothman were crazy, and vice versa. And now you see a lot more people coming together, or even people who, like for me, I started out in paranormal and branched off into the cryptid realm later on in life. I love that there is this inclusiveness going on within the communities, bringing together multiple communities for a similar purpose, just to understand all the oddness that's going on out there, all the oddities that surround us that most people just go about their life and completely ignore.
Yep. And it reminds me of my wife really got into Mothman, so we started doing the Mothman Festival, and I started looking into it a little bit, with a skeptical eye, of course, because here I am, a Bigfoot guy. I want mud and blood and guts and stuff like that. And Mothman seems a little bit too paranormal. But when you start looking into the Mothman sightings in Point Pleasant, the original sightings, there's over 100 paranormal sightings during that time before the Silver Bridge collapse. They don't mention wings. They don't mention flight. They just mention a large creature with red eyes. And I'm starting to read a lot of these reports about Mothman thinking, okay, it's out in the TNT area, which I've been to, and it's the woods, and it's the middle of nowhere almost in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. A lot of those Mothman sightings back then were probably Bigfoot sightings.
Yeah,
there was only a handful that mentioned, the red eyes and the wings and the flight and the things like that. The rest of them are just being watched by a very large creature with glowing red eyes in the woods.
Yeah, that is true.
So
there's always
always intermingle your discipline. Yeah, always intermingle your disciplines. You never know what you're gonna add to the element, because that
exactly.
Okay, so we're on a BFRO expedition. Okay, here's my story. We're on a BFRO expedition, and I'm brought on to help on, and there's one group that's doing their night investigation in a cemetery. It's on top of this bald in the North Georgia mountains near this place called Sarah's Creek. And they get done with the investigation. Nothing really happens. It's a mild night, cloudy night, no moon, kind of dark. And that group comes down. I'm in a different group, but they're telling us this story the next day. And that group comes down from the hill, and there's this one guy. He had brought his daughter along. She was curious about it, and she wanted to go. And so they're walking down the hill, and they're walking on this Forest Service road, getting back to the base camp. And the whole time, the daughter's kind of leading and walking. It's really dark. They can't tell, but they know who's there. They finally get back to base camp. The daughter's already sitting there by the fire. And they look around, and the girl that was walking down the mountain with them is no longer there. And had been with them the entire time when they left the cemetery. And this is what they felt was a physical living being walking with them all the way down the mountain. But they couldn't see facial features or anything like that. It's just a young girl walking along with them. And then when they get back, she was never with them at all. She was miles away in a different location. And here we are in prime Sasquatch territory, and they go to this really old cemetery and have paranormal things happen. And is there any record of it? No, not at all. Because we didn't have the ghost equipment that would have recorded anything like that.
Yeah.
Like the EMF meter, the little Ghostbusters thing would have been off the charts,
That's true. Yeah.
They would have been out there trying to cross the streams.
Wow. So are you aware, did they see her? Like they could see her features? They knew it was her? Or was she just kind of hanging back?
They didn't know it was her. They just assumed it was her. She was literally the only young girl on the expedition. Everybody else that was female was old like us. They were like us, old and decrepit. But everybody they just assumed it was her because it was this small girl wearing light colored clothes.
Wow.
And then get back to camp and she's already sitting there.
That's interesting. Wow. So So they hold on. Are we catching wows again?
Sorry.
That's 6.
That's awesome.
I'm just like baffled because they went to a cemetery and she followed them all the way out. And that type of experience is like a class A ghost experience where you see it and the whole group saw it. Right?
The whole group. They just assumed it was her. And I'm trying I made a joke about it the next day, which they didn't appreciate too much. But we're sitting the girl's name was Dana by chance. And so they're telling this story and everybody's sitting there in stunned silence because they're like, oh, wow. And out of nowhere, I go, there is no Dana, only Zool. Everybody cracks up. The leaders of the expedition did not like it. But it was true. The girl's actual name was Dana, and they had mistaken this ghostly apparition for Dana walking down the mountain.
Wow.
Holy Zool.
Wow. That's so interesting.
The ghost knew I needed a good opportunity to have a joke.
That's great.
And that's not a joke. It really did happen. That's
wild. Don't count wilds because I've replaced wild with wild now.
There we go. There we go.
Same location. So at that exact same location, we had done a pre-trip up there before the BFRO expedition. We had taken Lori Wade up there to see if she thought it would be a great place to do a BFRO expedition. And turned out it was automatically. There were pit toilets and campsites and lots of amenities, but there was also places you could branch out and do a lot of really good Sasquatch research. And one of the first nights we were there, we didn't do anything really because it was, to us, Abe, be quiet, to us, it was cold down south. It was like 20 degrees and the wind was really howling. That's cold. It was just bone chilling cold to us. So we couldn't go out in the field because even if you got up on top of the mountain, the wind was going to be worse. We were down in a good little holler to where we were protected and it was still freezing. And so we started hearing something up on the hillside next to us. And we had a campfire going, so you couldn't really see off in the distance because your eyes were used to the campfire. And so I had this really I don't have it with me, but I had this really good new camera that was a good low light camera. It was a Canon G7X, and I wanted to show off to everybody how good it is in low light. So I said, everybody get up. We're going to see, because we just figured it was like a raccoon or, it was just something in the woods scurrying on the hillside. I said, on the count of 3, everybody light up your flashlights, and I'm going to video record this, and you guys can see how good this camera is, because it will be able to see whatever we put our flashlights on. It's really good low light camera. So I get the camera out, hit record. 1, 2, 3. Everybody lights up their flashlight. The battery on the camera goes red, and the camera shuts off. So I say, not a problem. I got 4 fresh batteries. Go back to the Jeep, get a fresh battery, put it in 100%. Let's do it again. Get the camera on, hit record. 1, 2, 3. Click the flashlight, battery goes red, camera shuts off. And 20 people witnessed this. Same area. Not necessarily near the cemetery, but it's the same mountain range as where the cemetery was. Now, was that Bigfoot or was that ghosts?
That's hard to say. I mean, honestly, you can't really.
And those are questions that we have. Yeah.
Right. You can't. And I think in some situations where the experience is like an extreme paranormal Bigfoot experience, I think that you might be getting a mixed bag. Maybe you're getting some paranormal and some Bigfoot. And so that's something I've always thought, because back when I was doing paranormal research and I was out in the woods in this graveyard in the middle of the woods, I was, every sound I heard, like every wispy, crazy rock throw, all the sounds I heard, I attributed to paranormal. And then later on, when I started researching cryptids, I'm like, I think that some of those experience I had looking for the paranormal was actually a Bigfoot, because we would get rock throws and big giant stick breaks in the woods and stuff like that. And I'm like, looking back now in hindsight, it's just what you're out there to find is what you're going to label what you experience.
The activity, yeah.
Yep,
totally.
Yep. That's why way back in 2011, I named my group the Cooperative Sasquatch Research Association, because not only are we a group that works with other Bigfoot groups to help them achieve their goals and vice versa, you should be including other disciplines into your field of research.
Absolutely.
Some of the best expeditions that I've been on have been with UFO people and ghost people coming out in the woods, and you share your war stories around the campfire, with a bottle of clear liquid that passes around, and you'd be amazed at how similar they are, but they're able to give you a perspective you never thought of, because you're so busy in your own realm thinking this is absolutely the way it is, without thinking, but wait a minute, is there a paranormal aspect I should be considering? Is there a UFO aspect I should be considering? Is there a psychic aspect I should be considering? The best expedition I ever went on was with a group of it was nothing but psychics and remote viewers and things like that. And even though I wasn't on board with it and didn't believe it, absolute most entertaining and best night I've ever had in my life, hanging out with all these people.
Yeah.
I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because you're not thinking about all the things that you're missing out of, and they're looking at it from their psychic perspective, or they're looking at it from their UFO perspective. And it gives you a brand new way of looking at things, that you're looking at rocks and they're looking at the sky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that. I do think that we all have a lot to learn from each other, no matter what field of investigation you might be in. I do think that we have a lot to learn from each other. So that's why I don't, when I go out looking for odd things, I look for anything. I'll look for anything. I'll look for ghosts. I'll look for fairies and gnomes and Bigfoot and Mothman. Someday I'll get to go look at Loch Ness, and not that I'll find anything because I'm not going diving, but I'll get to see it. So yeah, I think it's really cool the way that you're so open-minded, because my slogan is a closed mind knows only a small piece of the truth.
Absolutely. I mean, another thing I could add to is where the old Mike Green squeaky footage, where the Bigfoot crawls through the woods and comes up and gets the squeaky toy. I've actually been to that site. Yeah, the Zagnut, and I've actually been to that site and done overnight expeditions there. And the best stuff happens across the street from where this was in an old cemetery. That's where the stuff happens, not where the squeaky footage is, not where the campsite is, or anything like that. The best stuff, the noises that you can't explain, the lights you can't explain, everybody that's been up there, it's literally 100 yards on the other side of the road in the cemetery.
Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. So,
right?
oh man.
There it is. Yeah.
So tell us about some of your more exciting excursions out in the Bigfoot world, or any world for that matter.
Well, when was the first time you seen one?
Exciting? The first and only time. Now, I had things that happen in the woods quite a bit that I can't explain, and I'm a researcher who goes out skeptically. I'm trying to prove that it ain't everything else first before I'm going to use the word Bigfoot. That footprint, okay, let's figure out what that footprint is. It's likely going to be a bear. It's likely going to be a black bear because we have a lot of those in the area. Try and figure out what it is first before you automatically attribute it to Bigfoot. And I don't know where I was going with this story now. I actually circled myself around, and I haven't had enough coffee for this. What was the question?
Your first sighting.
When was your first sighting?
So I had a ton of stuff happen up until that point, but my first and only sighting was February 18th of 2012.
Yeah.
And I had been in the woods actively for about 2.5 years at that point. Tirelessly, I might add. Me and the Squatch partner I had at the time, we were, all of 2010, I was actually unemployed. So I had nothing but free time to hit the woods. So I was out 4 or 5 times a week and every weekend for 2 years straight. And believe it or not, the Bigfoot sighting happened on a day when we weren't technically Bigfooting at all. We were testing 2 newbies in the woods. That's why it was daylight. That's why it was in the middle of the day. It was in February after hunting season. So the land was ours to peruse at will. It's private land that we had access to. And we figured, I was going to tell a long story about my old Squatch partner, but I won't. I'm not going to degrade or talk bad about anybody, but he's the reason I had the Bigfoot sighting. If he wasn't a good person, I never would have seen Bigfoot. But because he was such a horrible human being is the reason I saw Bigfoot. I insisted on having other people in the group because I just couldn't stand going in the woods with him anymore. And this was a day where my cousin wanted to come out with us, and he had another friend that worked with his wife at the time wanted to come out. So we're like, let's take him out in the woods. And if you want to get to know somebody, go for a hike with them. And if they complain at all, at 3 a.m., they're going to be horrible. So you always take them out in the day, take them into the woods. We knew this area very well. It was covered in hogs. In the summertime, you cannot get out there because you will get chased out by wild pigs. They're everywhere down here, especially in the country, and they're the most dangerous thing out there. I've come across some of the biggest black bear you've ever seen in your entire life, and they run away from you. Hogs run towards you.
Yeah.
And so we take somebody out, that's their initiation trial. We take them out in the woods where they know there's a potential they're going to have to run. And we were just out getting to know one another. And the river down there, so it's on the Savannah River, and it's about an hour and a half south of where I live right now, middle of the country. It's 100 acres of private land, and it's surrounded by about 13,000 acres of privately owned land that's only logged a couple times a year. So we have this area all to ourselves. It's the middle of nowhere, right on the Savannah River, south of Augusta. The river floods so much there that nobody lives down there because you're going to be underwater several times a year. It rises and falls like that a lot. And the river makes an omega shape. I don't know if you know the Greek letter omega. It has the 2 little feet at the bottom and the big hook. Yeah. And we'd never been able to make to the tip of what we call the peninsula. So the river surrounds the whole property, and we'd never been able to make it to the tip because we always got chased out by hogs or yellow flies. Yellow flies down there in the summertime are horrible, and they can bite you through clothes. Clothes are no protection against yellow flies down there. And they're worse than anything else. I'd rather get attacked by a hog. I can at least get stitched up, but a yellow fly you can't do anything about. But in February, you don't have to worry about that. But this day in particular, it was about 71, 72 degrees. For February, it was quite warm, but it wasn't so warm where it was hot. Overcast, perfect day. And so we take off with these two newbies and head towards the peninsula. And my old squatching partner was famous for having two left feet. He could walk in a circle in his own house. And sure enough, we ended up finding the river, and there's a bank there. There's a lot of sand on the bank. And I'm like, the river's in a omega shape. At the tip, it would be a cliff because it's a river. It wouldn't be a bank. And I'm thinking this into myself. And so we're looking at tracks in the sand, raccoon, deer, fox, things like that. We're seeing all these tracks. And my buddy's like, well, I guess we finally made it to Peninsula. And I did not cease the opportunity to razz him about the fact that we were nowhere near the peninsula. I had a portable Magellan GPS, and I pulled it out and I showed him that we had done this giant right-hand turn, and I started to make fun of him mercilessly, and it really got under his skin because these are two guys he don't know that are with us, and I'm just really ragging this guy out. So he's like, fine, which way is it? And this is the whole reason I had a sighting. He said, which way is it? And I said, you go straight that way and you'll hit the peninsula. You'll hit the tip. He's like, all right, let's go. And he goes. Now, this guy, I'm not going to talk about him or anything, but he can walk faster than most people can run when he doesn't like a place. And he was mad. So he starts walking, and before we know it, he's gone. We can't see him. So they're walking with me, the two other guys. My friend Sandy, we're still friends to this day, and my cousin. Sandy's a big dude. He's lost a lot of weight now, but he was a large dude. That's important later in the story. And so later I hear a wood knock. And so my old squatching partner and I would communicate to one another if we got separated in the woods through wood knocks, just one single. And he had a post hole digger replacement. It's like a shovel metal, or not a metal, but a wooden shovel post replacement. He would buy it at Lowe's, and it's supposed to replace a broken shovel handle. It's only about 3 feet tall, but it made a very specific noise, so I knew it was him. So I hear the knock, and then a couple minutes later I hear another knock, but it's in a different location. So everybody's like, okay, he's not even waiting on us. To heck with this guy. He's literally in a different location knocking. He's still going, so we're just going to go our own way. And we could tell by the knocks he was actually doing a circle in the other direction. But the benefit of that was we actually did a triangulation on this one spot. So we started to get up to where I can see the trees clearing, and I knew we were getting close to the river because I could see sky. And I knew we were going to end up coming to the river, but we came across this vegetation fence. The vines down there grow up the trees really fast and get so big that they break the top of the trees and then still live and make this fence of vegetation. And we come across this brick wall of vegetation, and there's a little hole. So I crawl through the little hole to get through, and I see the river. Here's the peninsula, finally. My cousin comes through behind me, and then Sandy, who's a big dude, he's, struggling to get through this brush. And so I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I see my old squatching partner standing about 30 yards away. I said, oh, there he is right there. And that's when I stopped and said, wait a minute. That's not, what the hell is that? Because my squatching partner was not 7.5 feet tall, covered in hair. And I'm looking at this thing from behind. My cousin is standing right here, seeing the exact same thing that I'm seeing. So for about 3 seconds, it stood there with its back to us because laser focused, it was pointed towards my squatching partner's next wood knock way up the river. And it was laser focused on his wood knocking, but heard us because you could see its head turn and tilt slightly. It heard us coming up from behind, heard me speak. It just leisurely walked away while I'm stuck in the weeds. I'm literally stuck in vines, running, trying to see what this thing is. And I'm like a cartoon. I'm running like this, but going nowhere. My legs are moving and I'm going nowhere. Gosh. And something told me, climb a tree to get a better look at it. And I climbed a tree, but the trees are so skinny and I couldn't get, and I slid down, and I wasn't in good shape at that time. I wasn't as buff as Abe is, and I couldn't get up the tree, and I'm trying to get towards this thing. Meanwhile, it's just walking. It's just moseying away from us, and we can't get to it. And I don't know what it was, but I always tell folks 2 of us had a sighting, 4 of us had a smelling. Abe was talking about gorillas' ability to have infrasound. Well, gorillas also have the ability to release a scent that tells their family, tribe, group that there's danger present. And it's a foul scent that makes them like either be wary or flee a situation. And a lot of people have related that to Bigfoot because immediately upon walking into this area, the scent hit us and it was omnipresent. It was a smell you could taste. It was so bad in the area where this thing was. And so finally my old squatching partner comes into the area because he hears us talking, because we're all, nobody, keep this in mind, nobody said Bigfoot, nobody said Sasquatch. We just said, what is that? And it walked away. So here comes my old squatching buddy. And he was stunned that we got there so fast. And we're like, what do you mean? He said, well, you just walked behind me.
Oh,
He didn't.
Nice.
All he had to do was turn around to acknowledge what he thought was us, and he'd have had a face-to-face. It walked up that close to him. And he didn't turn around. But as soon as he gets back into the area, this area, which by the way was completely cleared out, it was this giant U-shape, no vegetation, no leaves. It was completely flat, completely clear. It was just trees, but you could see everything except the vegetation wall that surrounded the U-shaped area and then the river on the other side. And then close to the river, we found a tree that had a dip in the ground, and that's where the smell was the strongest. And we just kind of hypothesized that that's where it was resting, right there in the dip with the tree, so that it could hear it's coming behind. It could hear anything coming up the river if a boat was coming up to go fishing. And that's where the smell was actually the loudest, is what we called it, because the smell was loud. It was real funky in the area. And this whole time we're standing there talking about it, and we can hear it walking in the distance. It's pacing back and forth. Nobody's chasing it. We're 2 seasoned Bigfoot researchers and 2 newbies, and no one's going after this thing. It wasn't like we were scared or we were told not to. We just didn't.
Yeah.
As if there was some force that said, forget it. It's nothing. Never said Bigfoot. Yeah. We found a couple of interesting items in the area. We took a couple of pictures. We should have been scouring the area with like tweezers, looking for hair samples. And it never even occurred to us. And so, believe it or not, and this is true, after a few minutes, we found a couple of things. We took pictures of it. And we just looked at it and said, okay, guess it's time to go home. Just like that. We're just like, oh, it's time to go home. And so I pulled out my camera out of my pocket, which stayed in my pocket the whole time. Should have been on my monopod. I carried, the only reason I couldn't wood knock back to my old squatching partner is because my monopod was too thin to make a sound on a tree. And I did not have my camera on my monopod taking video at all. Yeah. Bad Sasquatch researcher. Bad. And so I pull out my camera. I was like, well, whatever that was, I'm gonna get a video of it if we run into it on the way back. Camera wouldn't turn on. My cousin, who was standing right beside me, saw the exact same thing. He pulls out a point and shoot. Fresh batteries that morning. Just a 35 millimeter point and shoot, digital with the SD card. Would not turn on.
Wow.
We walked all the way back to where our vehicles were, and my cousin had rode with me, and the other guy had rode with my old Squatch partner, said our goodbyes, headed down the road, and it was probably about 45 minutes later, 45 minutes of silence, by the way, where I'm driving down the road, and I turned to my cousin, and I said, did we just see a Bigfoot today? And that's when the light turned on and said, yeah, I think we did. It wasn't until that much later that we even said the word Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
Wow.
That is so interesting. And yours, Abe, yours isn't too different from a lot of what other people, even seasoned researchers, like you said, have experienced, where they finally see something and they never grab their camera. They never, it's like you go into this whole other mind frame where you're just experiencing. And then later on they sit back and they think about it and they're like, holy shit, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do this?
Right.
And even Jay, during his presentation, that was one of the things he described when he had his sighting, is why didn't he walk over where he saw it? Why didn't he look for prints? Why didn't he look for hair samples? And I don't know, it's like one of those weird things where you just, I don't know if you're getting lost in the moment, or if maybe there is some sort of infrasound and it's hitting some frequency that where you're just relaxed and accepting of what's happening. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting to me that there's so many researchers, especially seasoned researchers, who have that same experience where they don't progress forward with that particular situation, and it was the best one they had.
Yeah, and it never occurred to us. The whole time we're there, it just never occurred to us to pull out the camera. There was no physical ailment about it. I didn't I've heard people's reports about infrasound, getting blasted and having a physical sensation, having a fear sensation. I've heard of people having the voice in their head that says, "You're not welcome here, go home." There was nothing like that. It was just like I'm talking to you. And if a Bigfoot were to walk behind me, and I'm just like, oh, that's a big deal. And then an hour later, I'm like, wait a minute, did a Bigfoot just walk behind me? Or, it was just like that. It was so out of the ordinary. And the other thing that I always tell folks, especially, is I could have, because it's been 2012, what's that, 14 years now. I could have 10,000 times since then convinced myself that I didn't see a Bigfoot that day, except for the fact that there's somebody there standing with me that saw the exact same thing that I saw. I could have easily, over the years, for some reason, told myself, never happened. But I have someone to convince me, no, if it didn't happen to you, it didn't happen to me. And if it didn't happen to us, it didn't, then they didn't smell anything either. And it's a smell that I'll never forget. Yeah. The smell I'll never forget, but I could have easily forgotten and just dismissed it as something else had I not had someone else there to witness it.
Yeah. Yeah, because clearly, I mean, that means you have that critical thinking mind, where if it's not constantly there and in your face and a reminder, you can kind of talk yourself out of it, but you have all that corroboration that's going along with that. Another thing I wanted to point out, that sort of weird scenario where you didn't pull out your camera and you didn't react as if people think that you would when you see a Sasquatch, and collect evidence. People in the paranormal and even the UFO community also describe this weird phenomena that's similar to that, where you're laying in bed and you're half asleep and you see a person walk through your house and you're home alone and you just lay there for a minute and you just go to sleep. Like, why would you go to sleep? Why wouldn't you get up and check it out? Why wouldn't, or you hear this big loud crash and you wake up and you're just, and you think nothing of it, and then you go back to sleep. It's this weird sort of phenomena that, I don't know, you don't react the way you think you would in those moments when it finally happens. And I'd like to know why.
Right.
But
and it was four of us, two newbies who really, I mean, didn't know what they were doing, but two guys who spent 2 years together in the woods, a lot. And here we are. Like, even though he didn't have a sighting and everything, he should have been a lot more inquisitive about what we just experienced than he was. And I'm not knocking that up to him being a jerk or anything like that, because he had been up to that point. Even a jerk would recognize, okay, something happened to these guys. I need to dig a little deeper. He didn't do it. Wow. The two new guys are just like, yeah, well, okay, yeah. Because we went back to the location several times. We went back on the year anniversary, and I've gone back with Sandy a few times. The location that was cleared out that we had found completely overgrown, but we found another location up the river that was cleared out. At that day, we found it was either mud or scat, but it was a perfect golf ball size, like it had been rolled. It was full of grass.
That's interesting.
It was just weird. I got a picture of it. And it was just weird. We found something like that a year later in a completely different location. Only this one was a lot older and was full of bugs and grass. But like, picked up some mud and just rolled it into a ball and left it. Bamboo canes that are wrapped around one another. That doesn't happen naturally. Bamboo goes straight and they're wrapped around one another without breaking. which you can't do physically yourself. Even Abe with his buff muscles couldn't wrap this river cane bamboo around so strong. And we find this location in a completely different area from where we're at. And we went back, all four of us, at one point, because we wanted to do the whole finding Bigfoot. How tall did you think it was? So independently, I didn't see him. He didn't see me. The two people that saw it, me and my cousin, somebody stood in the spot where it was, raised their hand until we said stop, and we both agreed it was exactly 7.5 feet tall. Very lean, solid black, which was unusual, unexpected, because every report we get down here down south are chestnut, auburn, and brown. Hardly ever do we get black Sasquatch sighting reports in the south. The skunk ape and everything, they're all usually a dark brown to a light auburn. And there's one report here that's solid white, one that was solid white, very close to here where I live, as a matter of fact. But we never hear about solid black. This one was very lean, not the giant, jacked, muscle Abe Del Rio looking Sasquatch that we were expecting, I'm not going to stop that, Abe.
No, that's okay.
But it was very lean. So all the reports we'd taken, witness reports we had taken, they're always talking about it was covered in hair, but I could actually see muscle striations under the hair because the males are apparently so jacked. This one was nothing like that. It was hair. It wasn't long and stringy. It was fine. It was thick. It wasn't like dog fur. It was hair. But the same hair that was on its head was the hair that was on its back, arms, and everywhere. And the way it walked, it just sauntered away from us. No running, no fear, no noise, but also no face either. I only saw it from the back. I wish I could have gotten that full. It's the only reason I'm probably still into Bigfoot is I want to get that facial view in the woods somehow. But since then, so many things in the 2 years prior to that event, I had, both exciting things, paranormal things, and exciting things, running into known animals in the woods. Nothing since then. Nothing. I've been on expeditions. I've been out in the woods, and no evidence, no tree snaps, no twisted limbs, nothing since then.
Wow. And that was
now, I'm not
2012.
as seriously active. That was 2012. And I'm not as seriously active in the woods anymore. Admittedly, it's too hot to go outside. And the best time to go squatching here in Georgia is in the summertime. There's more coverage, which means they feel more comfortable to come closer to civilization because there's more hiding spaces. In the wintertime, when everything falls, you can see a mile in the woods. And so you're not likely to have many wintertime sightings, even though mine was in the dead of winter in February. It was warm that day. But it's too hot to go out here anymore. And then, my squatching buddy and I, we broke up. We had a disagreement. We broke up. And, no, don't be sad. This was a good thing. He's glad he's gone.
It just makes me laugh the way you put that.
That's so great. Glad he's gone. I'll tell you who he is after the show and make sure you're not friends with him and don't ever give him your phone number. But there's nobody here to really go out with. And I'm a huge advocate of don't hike alone. The one thing you should be scared of in the woods, and I'm not scared of hardly anything in the woods. I've come across, I'm telling you, this black bear that I saw this one time, it was me and Matt Pruitt. He can attest. I've never seen pictures of a black bear this large, and it didn't scare me at all. But people do in the woods. If you're hiking alone, you come across another person in the woods, you don't know what their intentions are at all.
Yeah.
And never hike alone. Kids, I'm looking you straight in the camera. Don't hike alone. Don't ever go in the woods alone. Always have a partner in the woods. And I just don't have one right now. So the motivation to go out, since I saw one, I don't have a lot of motivation to go do it again. If anything, I would love for my wife to have an encounter.
Yeah. I think that would, how do you think she would handle that?
Well, there's a great story to go along with that. So this is like early 2010, and our local free newspaper. It's how I actually met my old Squatch partner. We've got this local free newspaper that comes out every Thursday. It was called the Met Spirit. and it's just the local arts entertainment type free newspaper you would get back when newspapers were a thing. And on the front cover was Bigfoot in the CSRA, and there's this footprint and this cast and everything, and it's telling the story of this guy and it's talking about this. And at the very end, it says, contact him at, and this should have been my first signal. Contact him at blah, blah, blah at AOL.com. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Mark DeWorth, AOL.com. This is in 2010, mind you. And that should have been my first clue right there. So I emailed him immediately and told him what I had been up to that point. I had been out in the woods and gone a lot to North Georgia, but it never occurred to me to do stuff right here at home. And he came back with, I'm better on the phone. I'm horrible at typing. Can you give me a call? That was my second mistake. I gave him my phone number. And so I called him. We had a great conversation. The funny story about that was I'm on the phone with what I thought was like this 90-year-old, 3-foot tall man who I just knew was bald because he was talking about sitting in the woods with some sardines and crackers, and I just want to hear the Bigfoot talk in the woods. And I'm just sure I'm talking to an old man. And then I met him like 2 weeks later, and he was in his mid 40s, like me at the time.
Hair full of head.
So that was the first shocking thing. Head full of hair, young looking guy, lean. And so he's telling me about these locations. He's telling me on the phone, though, about these locations locally, and it's locations that I knew. And he's talking about this one little area where there's an island on the Savannah River that this train trellis goes across. So it's a train bridge that goes across the little river, the island, and the Savannah River. And I was like, well, I know where that is, because when I first moved here, I would go out with some of the kids that I started working with. We'd jump off the train into the river. We would jump off the train bridge into the river. I knew exactly what he was talking about. And I think it was in the late spring, so the sun was still up, and it was a Sunday. And I looked at the wife. It was like 6:00 in the evening. I said, "You want to go for a hike?" I got off the phone with him. I was like, "You want to go for a hike?" She said, "Sure." Didn't have anything to do. So we went out to this location. I knew exactly where it was. We walked across the train bridge, and there's this little trail on the side of the river. And I've got my backpack with me. And at the time, I had a wooden baseball bat with me. And we're walking along, just, lovely couple having a hike. There's this giant pine tree that had fallen in the woods, and it was kind of fresh. And it had, some of the bark ripped off and everything. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do a wood knock right here, because I did a couple of taps, and it was one that was going to make a beautiful wood knock. And so I'm standing on top of this giant pine tree, and my wife's just standing there. Look at my husband doing his little Bigfoot thing. She was just happy that I was happy, but she's just like, oh, just look at him doing his little Bigfoot thing.
Oh,
and so I do a really good knock on this pine tree. I mean, just a beautiful echoing knock. You could hear the sound traveling up the river. And we're standing there, and she's just looking at me, smiling. And then all of a sudden, like 7-8 seconds later, there's a response from right across the river, hardly a tenth of a mile from where we were standing. It's just a clear, solid knock on an uninhabited island, completely uninhabited. And all of a sudden, I get this. Now I'm the one smiling ear to ear, and my wife turns to me and goes, she's like mouthing it and everything. And I'm grinning ear to ear. I'm like, oh yeah. So that was the first thing that ever happened to her in the woods that she could not explain, because there's no reason that a man should have been out there wood knocking in response immediately. And turns out I ended up going back to that location several times. I can go back to it at any time and probably have something happen. It's still uninhabited. It's privately owned. At the top tip of the island, there's 3 holes of golf that once the sun goes down, there's no more golf and there's no people. So it's a perfect place if you want to just go and lay and watch the stars.
Cool.
And there at the wood's edge where the golf course ends, it's just like graveyards. It's a perfect spot for Bigfoot activity. And I've had so much happen in that area. But that one part with the wife and everything right there, her eyes were just dinner plates, Because I fully, expected something to happen eventually. I do a wood knock and I get one back, and all of a sudden she's just in absolute shock.
That's awesome.
Like I had set it up or something. There's no way I could have set that up.
I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, because she seems very brave, but I think it would be one of those like totally burst her reality moments.
Right. Everybody's
Yeah.
brave till the sun goes down. That's
Right.
why I love taking skeptics out in the woods.
Oh gosh,
I
yes.
love taking skeptics out in the woods because, and Abe, I know you've taken people out and they're like, there's just no way. This is ridiculous, you guys. But then that sun goes down and you can't see 3 feet in front of your face. Even with a fire there, you cannot see. And it really starts to mess with people. I love taking skeptics because they don't sleep first night out. They will not sleep in the woods. So they're great for giving reports of whatever sounds happen during the night because they're up all night like this.
What was that? What was that?
That's so great.
Did you hear that? That's an acorn falling.
Even though they don't believe. Yeah, it's an acorn falling on your tent. No, it wasn't. It was a Bigfoot throwing a rock at me. It's real. It's real. It's really real.
No.
You didn't tell me it was really real.
It's really, really real. That's
You were just
hilarious.
talking cheese all day long, sir.
So I wanted
Go ahead, Abe.
Oh no, I was just going to say I wanted to go back to that very loud smell that you guys were smelling. How would you describe it? Is it describable at all, or?
It is describable, and I've talked about this in my speech whenever I do speeches at Bigfoot conferences, and it always gets a laugh, and because it's usually for the fellas. But thankfully, when I do Bigfoot conferences and I'm a speaker, it's a largely male audience, as you can attest to, Gwendolyn. It's a largely male audience at Bigfoot conferences.
Typically.
There's a certain shape and size to the audience, and they're mostly male. And God bless them, love them to death. But the smell is, I always tell people, have you ever gotten up in the middle of the night to go take a pee and you're either conservative minded where, you know, if it's yellow, let it mellow and you didn't want to flush it, or you don't want to wake anybody up by flushing. So you just let that pee go and you're like, I'll flush tomorrow. You go back to bed and then you go to Myrtle Beach for 2 weeks and you forget to flush that toilet. And you come home and the first thing you got to do, because it's been a long trip, is you got to go pee, and you go run to that bathroom and there's that pee that's been sitting there for 2 weeks and you got no choice but to flush it. That smell, and Abe knows that smell. Gwen, I don't know if you know that smell, but that smell that comes out of that toilet, add a sprinkle of wet dog, a little sprinkle of skunk, a big sprinkle of homeless man BO, and that's the smell.
Wow.
Old pungent urine and BO.
Interesting.
It's very distinctive. Because we had been in that area and even that day we had come across an area where the hogs had been, because it was the only place on the island that hadn't been flooded. It was very dry leaf litter underneath us, and that was one elevated enough to where the river hadn't flooded that area, and that's where the hogs were kind of hanging out. It's a very barnyard smell, even to wild hogs, where if you've ever been on a farm or been on a barn, there's a certain smell to that you can identify as, okay, those are cows and those are definitely hogs and those are definitely sheep. It was nothing like that. We had literally that day smelled hogs, and they had been in the area as very freshly before we had gotten there. We just luckily didn't see them or hear them. And then hardly 30 minutes later, this entirely new smell. There's nothing like any of us have ever smelled before, but every last one of us said, I'll never forget that smell.
Wow. Yeah, I have smelled very pungent, very strong urine and something else horrible mixed in with it. And that was where I heard the rock clacks, Abe, that I talked about on a previous episode. I walked in, I followed this rock clacking sound, and when I hit this wall of just pungent urine, I was like, okay, this is where I stop. I was in the woods alone, by the way. So this is where I stop and I just listen and observe. Yeah, listen and observe, because I don't know, I just felt like if I went any further, I'd be crossing a boundary, because I was thinking, okay, maybe they're marking their territory. I don't want to cross that boundary, because you couldn't mistake that smell. But it didn't have the skunk in it and the homeless man. BO. That's something else that smelled bad, though.
Homeless man BO. That's a new one. That's a new one.
I only added the skunk because, especially in Florida, the skunk ape is a Bigfoot. It's just the name they use for Bigfoot, but they call it that because down there, to them, it smells a lot more like a skunk. And I don't know if it has anything to do with the fact that we're like this past month and a half, 100 degrees or better every single day. And there's just no way to wash that smell off to where you end up getting that skunky. But we also do, like, I imagine, I mean, skunks are all over the eastern United States. It's not unusual if they are to be sprayed and there's no tomato sauce in the woods for them to wash off with. So they would carry that scent with them for quite possibly a long time, especially if they see it as a source of food. I would think they were smart enough to not grab a skunk, but who knows?
Right. Who knows? Who knows? A lot of people, you know, well, me included, often are curious about, there's some belief that they might live underground or in cave systems. And when you're living in conditions like that, the hair doesn't get the airflow and the sun and other water sources that naturally will rinse and clean the hair out. So you get this damp, dank, smelly smell in your hair.
Musty, moldy.
Yeah. And that could be one thing that could attribute to some of those smells of Sasquatch. And you also mentioned that they had the gorillas have an ability to put off a scent as well. So
yes,
I don't know. There's a lot of theories out there.
I would imagine Bigfoot as a species would be probably closer in the primate realm to gorillas than to humans. But I mean, of course, without a body, we can't say that definitively, which would make sense as to why they would have an ability to maybe release a scent like that. And I have no issue with the underground theory as well. A good story to that is a state park that I used to love to visit. My folks lived in Nashville, Tennessee, and there's Fall Creek Falls State Park right in the middle of the Cumberland Gap in the state of Tennessee. I'd been there a ton of times, even before Bigfoot research, and a ton after I became a Bigfoot researcher. It's a huge park. It's a beautiful place. And then come to find out here recently, they found a cave system there that rivals Mammoth Cave in Kentucky that no one ever knew was there. They found a cave. They ended up, you have to squeeze through, but they found a cave system big enough to land a jet in. It's that large, and it's completely unexplored. It's not even open to the public yet because they haven't found the depths of it. And no one knew about it until a couple of years ago. So how many cave systems like that are there in the limestone and the sandstone that we have, especially along the Appalachian, the ripples of the Appalachian in between the Cumberland Gap and the Appalachian Mountains, where there's tons of limestone that's easily eroded away by water, and we just haven't discovered them yet. And there's a good reason. You know, if you want to go disappear in the woods, you camouflage your shelter and camouflage where you're living. Well, if I lived in a cave system, didn't want anybody coming in and everything, you would camouflage it and make sure nobody was able to come in. Who's to say they're not in charge of the underground? If a nocturnal being can see in complete darkness as well as we see in the daylight, which is the hypothesis, why wouldn't they live in a cave system where there is no light?
You know, and on top of that, it also gives them shelter. And if there's water that's coming in down there, they got their water system too. They would basically have to come out for food unless they bring food down there, which wouldn't be too far out of fetch because of the root cellars that used to be in the old days that would help preserve food and keep food longer as well. And some of the cave systems.
I've done several tours at Mammoth Cave.
Hold a constant temperature year around.
Yeah, I've done several tours. 68 degrees.
Yep.
Year round. It never fluctuates above or below that. It never freezes, but it never gets hot. And 90% of the cave systems in the United States were created by water and still have water somewhere going through them. The whole reason the caves exist is because water eroded away the rock. So there are some cave systems that exist because of earthquakes and tectonic activity. But there's a constant supply of water. And everybody agrees, if there's a creature out there that weighs 500 to 1,000 pounds, as big as they are, they're going to need a constant source of clean running water available to them all day long. We can go, as human beings can go, 14 days without food, but you cannot go 7 days without water, period. You will die. So they have to have that, as big as they are, and as their nutritional needs have to have that water. This is also why I tell people if you're looking for Bigfoot, you find a running source of water first. That's their highway because their water's there. And the best part about that is it's clean water. It's relatively parasite free, but not always. But surely they would have found a way to remedy that with the Giardia and the parasites that exist here. The food comes to them. Everything in the woods has to drink. So sooner or later, if you're always around a system of moving water, not only do you have the water, but your food's going to come to you, not the other way around. Sooner or later, you just hang out by the water. Find a traveling water source like a river, creek, stream, especially spring-fed, and you'll find Bigfoot activity.
Yeah, which there's a real possibility for a spring-fed water source to be within a cave system as well. Got some comments here.
He's just agreeing with you.
One of the best spots that we've ever done with. One of the best spots that I've ever been to was also with Matt Pruitt, and it was at the headwaters, the spring that actually feeds the Chattahoochee River that once it hits the Broad River turns into the mighty Savannah River. I've been to the very source of what is the Savannah River up in the mountains in North Carolina. And it's the cleanest, clearest, most beautiful water coming out of the mountains that eventually turns into the Savannah River.
And
it's the best place that we've been for Bigfoot activity.
Very cool. Very, very cool. You said something about their needs for food. Which made the hamster starting running in the wheel. And I Googled, what does a silverback gorilla need calorie-wise per day? It says a full-grown silverback typically consumes between 40 to 70 pounds of vegetation daily, while exact wild caloric intake varies widely based on the specific plant fibers and seasonal availability. Estimates generally range from 5,000 to 8,000 calories a day to maintain their massive muscle mass and foraging habits. 5,000 to 8,000 calories for one silverback gorilla a day just to maintain their muscle mass and stuff. Wow.
And that's vegetarian.
That's vegetation.
That's a vegetarian diet. So
yes.
That's vegetation. So a animal protein diet like Bigfoot is
omnivorous
supposed to have would be a little less, but it would not be that much less because they are omnivores. They've been known to eat more than just livers and hearts. They will eat whatever's available, but their needs would be a lot less than a gorilla. A silverback gorilla has to eat all day long. Whereas if you find one good deer liver a day, that might satisfy your at least vitamin needs per day, maybe not your caloric needs. And that's why they would be omnivorous and eat everything else that comes about. There's tons of stuff to eat in the woods. Tons of stuff. I wish I knew what they all were.
Yeah. Speaking of food, one thing I want to point out is there's not very many cases where people see a Bigfoot eating on the spot. I have heard of some of them, but there are more cases where people see them running with deer or with dogs or with goats, which would be their food source. And to me, that puts me in the mind that there is an abode that they're heading to with that meal versus like a wild animal who would catch it, maybe run a few hundred feet and then eat it right there. They're carrying it back to an abode, a safe space. So where would that safe space be? It would be, I think they have family units, maybe even tribal units. Typically, I don't think Bigfoot typically wander around completely solitary. It just makes me think, in my mind, where would I put myself if I were a Bigfoot and running with my meal to take it home? And I think that cave systems and underground places, like you were talking about earlier, are the spot that they would go with something like that, a safe space.
Yeah, I did have one report here. This is secondhand, of course. I didn't hear it from the witness directly, but I heard it from my old Squatch partner who had heard it directly. He had come across a Bigfoot the witness had come across a Bigfoot in the woods, and it ran from him and he followed it a little bit, and then he saw it lift something up and jump into the ground. And when he got up to the point, he could not find what it was that he had lifted up or disappeared into. It's just that there was a spot in the woods. He was just gone. Apparently,
Oh,
he
wow.
saw it running, lift something up, jump into it, and was gone. He couldn't even find anywhere where you could lift something up to have it disappear like that.
That's interesting.
And the whole idea that they're only taking, it's kind of Occam's razor with that. So when we find carcasses in the woods that are suspected killed by Bigfoot, of course the neck is broken, there's no bullet wound to it, and only the heart and liver is missing. Well, that would make sense to not take a carcass back to your safe space, to your abode, to rot and cause smell and bring parasites and things like that into a cave system. Why wouldn't you just bring back the edible stuff? Everybody eats it, and then you have a clean space.
Yeah. Yeah.
No bones, no evidence, no nothing. Everything is eaten directly, and there's no evidence that they were ever there. And like
That's
you said,
very
they can move
true.
along to a different spot.
Right. Yeah.
My hypothesis about Bigfoot is that unlike us, they have, and there's no way to prove this, but this is my hypothesis. They have no sense of possession. Therefore, they have no territoriality because it's not mine, it's ours, it's everywhere. Food's over there. If there's another Bigfoot over there, we share the food. Mating rituals and everything like that. That's why you don't hear of Bigfoots going through like a rut and fighting and having scraps over mates. It's not my mate. It's just the mate that I'm with right now or the family group that I'm with. And if you start relating that, it makes a whole lot more sense about how they can get along as quietly as they do compared to other animals who would go through territoriality. You know, even deer scrape their antlers to mark their territory during the rut season because they want to mate with the most and blah, blah, blah. But if you have zero sense of possession, it helps me to kind of describe when people talk about gifting and even like the squeaky footage. They come up and they find a set of rocks or a feather or something in a place where they left the zag nut. And they're thinking they're gifting back. But I'm not thinking they're gifting back. They're not gifting back because they have no sense of possession. That was just a rock that was in their hand that they needed to set down to pick up the thing you gave them. And then they probably dropped it in the woods somewhere else and found another rock. There's always another rock. There's always another feather. So they don't sit there and say, this is my best hunting rock. I have to keep it. It's mine. It's the best one in the world. There's other rocks. And so if you take away that sense of possession that we have, it explains a lot about how they can just disappear into the woods silently and all their communication be silent.
It's
not mine. It's just there.
Points. Yeah.
You brought up rock. Have you ever hit a rock against a tree and how acoustical that sounds like it's wood on wood as well?
A rock, and we've had, we've had better activity doing rock clacks than we ever have doing wood knocks. You do a rock clack, and according to native lore, and Winona taught me about this. Winona Kirk said that old native lore is a rock clack means we come in peace, and so when we go out in the woods, we're doing more rock clacks than anything else, and then just sit and wait and see if anything approaches you. If they're in the area and they heard the rock clack, you will get approached. Whereas a wood knock, my hypothesis, and again, I have no way of proving this, a wood knock says there's humans here, shut up. So when you go out in the woods and you're doing a wood knock, my opinion, the Sasquatch hear it, and if they return the wood knock, it's them telling their family, that wasn't me, this is me, shut up, humans are here. And then whatever scout is in the family group approaches you to see what the heck's going on. And that's, if you get approached that way, they're coming to see what you're doing. Because you can get approached doing wood knocks, but you're never going to get wood knocks all night long. You're never going to not get a response, not get a response, not get a response. It has happened sometimes, but most times you're just going to get one response and then total silence. Because the wood knock means humans are here, whereas rock clacking to me says, I'm coming in peace, and they will come to you in peace. And I've had it happen a couple of times.
Huh.
Yeah, that's interesting because when I was hearing the rock clacking, the first time I'd ever heard like what I could definitely say this is rock clacks. To me, it was like I felt like it felt like Morse code. It was like tap 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 tap, and I was like, are they trying to tell the others that I just walked up in their space and give them a heads up? And then after it did it for a little bit, it went quiet, and I waited maybe 3 more minutes, and it did it a few more times, and then that was it. And I waited like 45 minutes in that spot. I heard nothing else. So it's interesting that you find it as like a more of a welcome. Makes me feel a little bit better about the fact that I was out there in the woods by myself when I heard that. It's like, oh, they were welcoming me. Because in the moment I was like, they're telling the others I'm here and to be quiet. That's kind of what I thought. I'm going to have to meet real fast. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we had a manual that had what knocks or clacks mean, and we could decipher that. We know it means something. A certain amount means something. I mean, do even different trees? Do they know the sound of different trees and utilize different trees that mean different things too? It's just there's so much more. Like you said, there's more answers that keep popping up when we're in the woods and we're doing field research and stuff like that. Who knows?
Every question you get an answer to, you go out in the woods and you're like, okay, there's the answer to this. But now I have 10 more questions.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I got the one answer, but now I have 10 more questions to go on top of that. Every time you get an answer in the woods, it's all opinions. These are all my opinions. I cannot prove anything that I've said. It's all my opinions that have made me comfortable. And I'm hoping that my opinions don't realm into too far into the paranormal, because that's such an easy default. And I'm not knocking paranormality at all. I'm just saying that when you automatically assume Sasquatch is paranormal, it's an easy default for you to just make up the answers without any evidence to prove it.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Look into it deeper.
Look into it deeper. And if you find me the evidence that shows, okay, here's the evidence and here's the portal they walked through to Narnia, then I'll believe it. But I need to see the hard evidence first.
Absolutely. I want readings. I want electromagnetic readings, EMF readings. I want all these kinds of readings, not just visual camera readings. I need readings.
Yes. The more data, the better.
Yes, absolutely. It's not about your thoughts and what you think is going on. It's about digging deeper to get the answers.
Yep. Absolutely.
But again, that's not me. That's not my purpose in life. I've had a lot of people, especially with my sightings, that come up and say, well, why didn't you have a DNA kit? Why didn't you do this? There's a lot of armchair researchers that are like, why didn't you do this? Get your butt out in the woods and do it yourself. It was never my intent to prove it to the world. It was my intent to prove it to me. And I did that. Now, how can I help you prove it? What is your method? I'll be glad to help you along.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah, because you'll never prove it to the world. I mean, not unless you come up with 5 of your friends carrying a body, you'll never prove it to the world until we find one and are able to study it.
When you guys were when Gwendolyn, you dropped it, I was actually entertaining your audience in between time when Abe was trying to log back on and you were trying to log back on. And I told an anecdote. I was like, why in the world did the government in 2017 release all this footage about UAPs and UFOs and have basically come around and admitted that aliens have visited, UAPs have visited the Earth, and they're supposedly releasing all these files. I'm thinking, did I get into the wrong field of study? Why couldn't they do that with Bigfoot? Why are they not releasing the Bigfoot footage? Why are they not releasing the Bigfoot autopsy? Did I pick the wrong area to go into? Why would they pick UFOs to distract everybody now with, because they released the info in 2017 and nobody cared. No one cared. And so they had to re-release it again in 2019. And now it's 2026. They're finally releasing these files that people are having to fish through these thousands of pages of files to try and find any type, but nothing about Bigfoot. Nothing. Yeah.
What would you think they would call them? The UHPs, unidentified hominin phenomenon?
Like, what was it at the 50th that what was it at the 50th that our dear departed friend Dr. Jeff Meldrum called them? He actually came up with a scientific name for them.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
one of those Latin long scientific names.
Bro,
You were there, so don't tell me you don't
that
remember.
was 9 years ago.
It was.
Yeah.
It was, buddy.
Oh my gosh.
But you remember he actually coined a scientific name. It was something North American, something Australo, something like that. And it was a long name, but he actually had the scientific name.
Or
Australopithecine, but it was something like that. It was one of those, because it wasn't Homo erectus, and it wasn't like, because we're supposedly Homo erectus, so it wasn't anything like that. But it was a scientific name, and it has escaped me for years because it was never written down anywhere. Right. It was just something he said giving that speech.
Oh, that's wild, man! I wish it was written down, but yes, absolutely, yeah. We lost a great researcher when we lost him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who is there to replace? Who is there to replace? Who is there to fill his shoes? What type of PhD do we have out there with the clout like Bindernagel and Meldrum and Krantz do we have that can step up and fill those shoes?
Yeah. It's some big shoes to fill. Some big foot.
Darby Orcutt, in my opinion, is the closest one, and right now it's just kind of a tertiary hobby for him. Yeah. It's not really, as head into it as Dr. Meldrum was.
Right, exactly.
So Darby, if you're watching, Dr. Orcutt, please, we need someone. We need you.
Yes.
You're not the hero Gotham deserves, but you're the one we need right now.
Oh, was it? Tell me if this rings a bell. Anthropolides amareborealis Meldrums. Anthropolides amareborealis. I'm tripping over my own tongue here.
Yes, but it was something like that.
Polydopus amareborealis.
So Polius.
It had America. It had Amera in it. So
pilosus means hairy. It's Latin for like hairy or like covered in hair. Pilosus.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
I knew it had Amera in there to kind of identify it was the North American species of it and not the Yeren. Because I think he had a different name, but he didn't say what it was. But I think there was a different name that he and the doctor over there that they had done the Finding Bigfoot episode with had coined the phrase for. And at least in Mandarin, Chinese. And he translated into English. Well, Latin English, of course. He's a doctor.
There we go. Ava spelled it out for everybody. Oh, no wonder you're.
That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. But I think that was it.
Poidopes, Amera borealis.
Yep.
Amera borealis.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Say that 3 times.
We just do Homo pilosus. It's hairy man. Hairy man in Latin. Homo pilosus. Yeah, that is a mouthful.
I can't even begin to try to pronounce that. So I'm glad y'all fumbled over it. I'm not gonna try.
I tried.
We should have had Abe try to read my bio. We should have had Abe try to read.
You know what's so funny is I was going to stop halfway through if Abe was still on and make him pick up where I left off. I struggled through his bio so bad. Okay, so honestly, I have a migraine. I actually took a nap right before the show started, hoping I could get it to go away, and I woke up still with the migraine. So I was already like, brain twisted, tongue twisted, and then I'm trying to read your bio that was very eloquently written, by the way. With lots of big words. And
Abe would have stopped midstream. He'd have been a researcher into your. Oh, wow.
Welcome, Jeffrey Thomas, to the show. There it is.
Oh, my gosh. Well, Jeff, we'll let you jump off here. We've had you on here for almost 2 full hours now. Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
I have too. I've had a good time. Sorry for the crazy rough start. Abe and I were both having technical issues, but I'm sure you entertained everyone.
No,
just
go back and
fine.
rewatch. I kept the audience entertained. I held the show. You know, I held it up. So.
I believe it. I know you would.
Usually as an MC, that's my job. Yeah. So
I would definitely go back and watch. But so
hang tight.
huh?
Yep. Go. I was just telling him to say, hang tight. But what's next for you?
Yeah. Where are you heading with your research? Are you going to any other Bigfoot conferences coming up? Where can people find you?
Conferences I've got coming up, and I'll give you a good segue to kick me out. So the first one we've got coming up next is the Mothman Festival. I'm not speaking at it or anything, but I will be present. And as long as the Fargiorgios are by the statue in Point Pleasant, which is the best place to be, I will be camped up there with them. Eric hasn't been doing good health-wise, and I'm hoping he gets healthy enough to make the trip, because we will be there, of course. If not, we'll camp out with Joe Perdue and Ron Lanham, which I'm sure we're welcome there. So we'll be at Mothman for the whole weekend. And then after that, of course, I'll be headed to Grand Rapids, Minnesota for the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference.
Look at her face. She's like, yeah.
How's that for a segue that you can kick me off with and now talk about Abe's conference coming up?
Well, hang around even after the show and just hang out. We'll just leave you in here. Just let Abe tell us about his Minnesota Bigfoot Conference coming up.
So, with the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference is going to be the first weekend in October 3rd, Saturday, at September Lake Lodge and Hotel in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Tickets are on sale right now at eventbrite.com. Eventbrite.com. General admission is going. If you are a vendor and you want to make a little extra pocket money, contact us through our Minnesota Bigfoot Conference Facebook page. Send us a message, DM us through there. If you want to inquire about the 3-day VIP package, DM us through that same page, Minnesota Bigfoot Conference as well. We have things going on that Friday, of course, Saturday, the day of the conference, and Sunday, the day after the conference as well. We got an update. Unfortunately, one of the speakers did have to drop off, and that would be Michael Freeman. He had some things pop up where he is not going to be able to make it, unfortunately. And so we just wish him all the best in that. But with that being said, it gave me ideas to have other opportunities to pop up and things to do event-wise, such as if we are going to be ending the event early, everybody that has wristbands or tickets are all welcomed to the Reamer Motel and Campground for a bonfire and food and to hang out with, I'm on the ball, with the speakers and a little bit more mingling time and bring your own adult beverages if you're into that type of stuff. It is the Reamer, Minnesota, the home of Bigfoot, where we were shooting for Animal Planet back, 10 years, a little over 10 years ago, this past July. And so it's a great small town. The people of the Reamer Motel and Campground have been sponsoring us, along with Woodsman Cafe and Bigfoot Gas and Gifts out of Reamer, Minnesota. So we did this last year with Maria, and was it last year or the year before? Well, I forget. But Maria was out there, and she just loved the layout of the campground. Very, very fun. Have a huge bonfire. Get to rub elbows with the speakers. Speakers get a little more time with the people who have attended. And so it's just a really fun time all the way around with that. Last time, one of the times when I was there with Dr. Meldrum, and we drove Meldrum and Scott Nelson to there, and on the way back, it was such a busy day and stuff like that. I'm driving, and I hear, I'm like, and I'm looking in my rearview mirror. These guys had all tuckered out, and they took a little nap on the way back to the motel. So it was really, really fun. Another great memory with Dr. Meldrum and Scott Nelson. And so, tickets are on sale right now. And check us out. Again, if you want to inquire about anything, DM, direct message us, or send us a message through the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference Facebook page.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I'll be looking forward to it. I'm excited for it. Jeffrey, where can people find you? Facebook, YouTube, anything like that?
Everywhere but TikTok.
All right.
If you find me on TikTok, that ain't me. But I'm on all the socials. I've got all the names as Jeffrey R. Thomas. I changed my Facebook page, which used to be the Shadow, to the real Jeffrey R. Thomas. So, if you don't feel like, because I don't accept friend requests from people I've never met personally. So
Yes.
I have a very limited friends list, but you're welcome to follow me on any page and interact that way. And you can, if you need to message me for any reason. I also run the Bigfoot in the CSRA page, which hasn't been very active lately, but I'm on all the socials, and I will be next year hopefully doing a lot more conferences than just the measly couple that I've done this year. It's just been one of those years. Everybody has them, and I will get out and about a little bit more next year and make a lot more public appearances, not just for Bigfoot, but also for Gen X stuff.
Awesome. Before I'm talking about the conference. I forgot to mention who the speakers are and who's all coming. We have Renee Holland from Expedition Bigfoot coming out. We have my team member, Joel Sturgis. We have wonderful, The Fold Mystery founder and director and creator, the wonderful and beautiful, highly talented Miss Gwendolyn Guthrie coming out. And also a YouTube personality on TikTok. And we have Jeffrey R. Thomas, who is going to be present.
Off TikTok. Off TikTok.
And Facebook.
The off TikTok internet celebrity.
It's going to be great. You guys don't miss out. It's going to be one for the books, that's for sure.
Oh, I'm excited. Well, thank you again, Jeffrey. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you in Minnesota. I may even go to the Mothman Festival because it's been a few years since I went. So maybe I'll look for you there. And I'll be like, Jeffrey! I'll come right up to you like a fangirl or something.
I will be at the statue, so you can't miss me.
Okay. But thank you again. It was such a pleasure to have you on. Stick around after the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hear this name. All right. Have a good night.
Squatch on, everyone.
Bye.